Hi, my name is Anne Gadat. I am a professor of Japanese history at Seton Hall, and thank you to Gerard for bringing such an important film to the stage, or the screen in this instance. What I want to talk to you guys about, I was really reflecting on what you need to know to really understand the level of depth that we see in Ozu's film, Tokyo Story, or Tokyo Monogatari. And I think that you need to know the historical context. Of course, I'm biased. But also you need to know about something that my students struggle with a lot in my classes, which is the concept of filial piety. So in Asian cultures, and particularly in Japan, there are multiple different religions and moral philosophies that are all at play at once. They don't have monotheism, so it's okay to subscribe to multiple ideas all at once. And in the post-war period, what we're seeing is this is directly after World War II. This is after Japan has had a meteoric rise and spectacular fall from grace. In the span of about 70 years, Japan goes from being a partially colonized nation to being a strong, independent country that is the only non-Euro-American power that is an empire, that has a seat at the big boys table at the end of World War I, and has challenged internationally the global world order. Part of why Japan was able to do so quickly, in just 70 years, was because of this concept of filial piety that comes from Confucianism. So Confucianism and filial piety go all the way back to the 700s in Japan. It came over from China, and it's really what created the basis of Japanese government. Confucianism is not a religion, it is a moral philosophy, but it's a political philosophy, and for many of us, we see morals going with religion. But in Asia, it's very different. So in this film, what we see is the breakdown of what had allowed Japan to so quickly shift and change. During the pre-war period, what allowed that growth was something called the emperor system. The emperor system posited that the emperor, which had been around in Japan with no power at all, basically since the 700s, it was taken out of the cupboard and dusted off. And they said that they were bringing back true Japan in the form of an emperor who represented the physical body of the nation. And the emperor was the father figure for the nation. And filial piety is not just a hierarchy of top-down. It's about reciprocal relationships. There's a relationship where the father owes to his child education, taking care of them, raising them upright. And the children then owe to the father their loyalty, their fealty, and their taking care of them as they age. What we see here in this film is the breakdown of the family. It's about what do we do once we realize that the emperor system was all a lie? How do we make sense of the world in which we're now living in? Should we be paying respect to our elders? Or are our elders the ones who got us into this mistake in the first place? So how do families, if emperor is the macrocosm of the family, what happens in the microcosm? What happens in individual families? How can we understand the relationship between these aging parents and their children? How can we see the push and pull between a new modern future that is rejecting things like the emperor with the reality that that is what had underpinned and created Japan into an astounding nation? How do we move forward? And that's really the questions that is underpinning this film. It's about what happens in a post-war world. What happens right now during this film? It was still during the American occupation, but what's next? Should we be paying attention to those who came before us, or do we need to find our own way? And what does that mean for people who may be left behind? I really hope you enjoy Ozu. He is one of the greats, and this is one of the top films in my opinion, and in the opinion of random lists online, of all time. So I'm going to hand it back to the filmmaker.